Notición de último minuto. Parece ser que todos los peruanos quieren que el presidente chileno Boric se quede para siempre. Nuevo vídeo de nuestro compañero de Defensape. Vamos literalmente a reaccionarlo. Vamos a ver qué comenta aquí, qué pasa, por qué quieren que se quede Boric en Chile para siempre. Igual le beneficia en ciertos aspectos. Dicho esto, poneros cómodos. No olvidéis apoyar, que es muy fácil apoyar, en plan, y ayuden mucho. Y dicho todo,
Western Hemisphere will come to order, and the purpose of this hearing is to discuss the rise of anti-Semitism in Latin America and the responses of the governments in the region to the ongoing war in Israel and the impact of these responses on our U.S. foreign policy objectives in the region. In Latin America, what's happening in the continent, what we're seeing is an explosion of anti-Semitism. Specifically, 3 Latin American countries.
Claro, que esto es bastante equitativo, ¿no? Pero bueno, la realmente pregunta no es en qué manera les puede beneficiar, ¿no? Que no se vaya. O sea, esto es muy, muy curioso, sinceramente.
Colombia, Honduras, and Chile recalled their ambassadors to Israel shortly after Israel began defending itself. Chile, President Gabriel Boric just banned Israel from Latin America's largest aerospace fair. This is not the first time that these leaders, unfortunately, have spoken or have shown their prejudice against the state of Israel. Let me just give you another couple of examples. In 2019, Gabriel Boric, again, the president of Chile, returned a jar of honey the Jewish community of that country had sent to him in a gesture of friendship. And he said, "Why don't you stop stealing the land of the Arabs instead?" It is despicable, as I'm sure you agree, that the heads of state have these type of opinions. Today we have a witness from State Department who works on the issues of combating anti-Semitism globally, including Latin America. The Honorable Deborah Lipstadt is the Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism for the Office of the Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism at the State Department or at the Department of State.
The Western Hemisphere has become a key focus of our efforts, my and my team's efforts to combat rising global anti-Semitism for quite some time. My deputy, Aaron Kiak, and I have visited numerous countries in the region since my swearing in to convey.
Vale, bastante fuerte lo que están al fin y al cabo diciendo. Me sorprende porque nunca he llegado a escuchar algo así de esta manera, por lo menos de este calibre. Pero sí que es verdad que puede ser que tenga cierto sentido, ¿no? Evidentemente es algo, digamos, más interiorizado, ¿no? Para ellos, que igual nosotros no lo entendemos tan fácil, ¿no?
The message that the United States government takes anti-Semitism seriously and urges governments, communities, law enforcement to do the same.
So you are the American representative. Okay. So, what are the consequences for a Petro or a Lula or a Zelaya to be insulting Israel, one of our most important allies in the Middle East? Do they think that there is going to be any type of consequences from the American government if they were to behave that way? So what are the consequences coming from the United States to these countries if they continue attacking and creating this anti-Semitism situation in the countries?
We continue to call them out. And the further consequences, my colleagues in the State Department, I hope follow.
Bastante curioso, ¿eh? Bastante curioso. O sea, los departamentos del Estado dan un seguimiento. O sea, la gente está exigiendo un seguimiento acerca de esto.
Expect follow up on that.
Es bastante curioso, ¿eh? Nunca he escuchado algo así, sinceramente. Por lo tanto, me sorprende, ¿no? Nunca he llegado a escuchar algo.
But we let them know that this is something we take seriously. You can't just make statements like these and think, okay, I can get away with it. In fact, one of the things we say in combating anti-Semitism, when other heads of state, foreign ministers, ambassadors ask us what they...
Vale, sí, se puede incluso a entender de manera retrospectiva, ¿no? O sea, quiero decir, no es fácil, ¿eh? No es fácil, evidentemente. Y fijaros que la gente parece ser que lo acaba pidiendo, ¿no? En este caso. Es muy fuerte, tío. Es muy fuerte. O sea, como que no tendrán las mismas relaciones, ¿no? Con Estados Unidos.
They should do. One of the primary things we say is the head of the government, the leaders, have to call it out unequivocally, immediately, and without reservation.
And you understand that those, and I agree with what you're saying, but they have been invited to the White House and they have been treated very nicely, even though some of those leaders in Latin America, even though you're sending that message. So it's contradictory.
When we encounter them, especially if they have made such outrageous statements as they have made, and as you have indicated and I've indicated
Como ha dicho,
as well, that this is not something that we find acceptable. Many of the statements which you have referred to, which I have referred to, cross the line.
Thank
From
you. Cross the
criticism-
line. So
cross
then
the
what are
line
the
from
consequences
criticism-
when you cross the line? That's what I'm saying, not just scolding you.
Well, I would hope that there will be, that
La estáis pillando. Es un poco complicado, sinceramente. Seguramente haga una segunda parte, ¿vale? Porque fijamente, o sea, quieren hacer como ciertos acuerdos, ¿no? Con Estados Unidos, ¿no? Que pueda llegar a beneficiarle como tal. Me parece un poquito loco, ¿vale? Sinceramente no me esperaba ver algo de este, bueno, calibre, ¿no? Se podría incluso decir. Pero, oye, a nuevo no conoce, ¿no? O sea, me refiero.
they will get the message that this is something, if they want to work with the United States closely, this is not something that redounds to their benefit.
I want to make sure our ambassadors are not just speaking out. I want them to be forcefully screaming about this.
I think they are. I think they also are meeting privately. I'll give you an example of a case I know better. Chile. Our ambassador there, Ambassador Mihan, arrived in Chile on just the day after, I believe it was, but very close proximity to when President Boris refused to, when the new Israeli ambassador came to the palace to present his credentials, and Boris refused to see him. An action not just don't come now, come later, but of major political significance.
Thank you, Representative. And I want to
Bastante significante, ¿eh? Me interesa vuestra opinión en los comentarios, evidentemente. Porque como hemos escuchado aquí, sí es verdad que tiene o sea, están corroborando el magnífico trabajo, ¿no? Que está haciendo. Porque, al fin y al cabo, es la embajadora, ¿no?
thank the ambassador for a magnificent job that you're doing. We very much appreciate the fact that
Sí,
you
no está mal, la verdad. No tengo mucho conocimiento acerca de esto, pero evidentemente sorprende, ¿no? Venimos ya reaccionando un poquito aquí para atrás.
are not only an ambassador in title, but you're an ambassador in words and in actions. And that you're sending a very strong message to those who may not feel it, but the only thing that we could do is force them to behave well. I know how the Latin American countries feel when they have an American representative from the United States government. And even though they may not agree with what you're saying or what you're demanding from them, but they think about it twice before not going in favor of what the message that you're sending. So it's a duty from the Biden administration in you being the representative of the White House in sending that message to Latin America. It's despicable what's happening with Petro or with Lula or with Boric. You cannot say that about our number one ally.
Es evidente, ¿no? Que esto al fin y al cabo acabe pasando. Me gustaría saber vuestra opinión, por supuesto, aquí abajo en los comentarios. Sí que es verdad que es algo complicado. Es la primera vez que lo reacciono como tal. Así que nada, un fuerte abrazo para todos, amigos. No olvidéis apoyar el canal de Defensa, que también lo tendréis en la descripción. Nos vemos en el próximo vídeo.